The financial crisis in 2008 was truly shocking. I expect most of us will never forget it. But the good news is we're through the worst. The credit crunch is over, right? Well, when it comes to mortgages, I fear there's more crunch to come. It could have all been much worse. The government and the Bank of England stepped in and filled some of the gap with two emergency schemes. Trouble is, these schemes are coming to an end. In fact, the Bank of England scheme will start winding down next year and will be completely gone by April 2012. Then the banks will have lost £185 billion worth of mortgage funding. So why does this matter?
The reason it matters, I think, is that lenders are still finding it difficult and expensive to raise new wholesale funds. Now, of course, if lenders have to repay the £185 billion that they've borrowed through the special liquidity scheme with no other funds in place to replace that, then that's going to severely restrict, in my opinion, the availability of mortgage credit.
In other words, mortgages will become more expensive and there will be a massive mortgage shortage. That sounds horrendous. But if things will be so bad, wouldn't it be better to extend the scheme? Well, right now the Bank of England says very firmly it's going to stick to the schedule. But could the bank change its mind?
I think it's very difficult to know this far in advance what's going to happen. Clearly, what the government wants to do and the Bank of England want to do is to withdraw the sort of crutch from the mortgage lending industry to help it get back on its own 2 feet, and that's got to be something that's a common sense objective. But of course, what it doesn't want to do is to undermine the housing market recovery and initiate a new kind of collapse and a new squeeze on mortgage credit that could threaten the wider economic recovery. So it's very hard to tell.
Politicians won't like the idea of a new mortgage crisis, so they'll certainly be tempted to give more help to the banks. They could save face by giving the scheme a new name and offer less generous terms while still providing some support. On the other hand, I think most of us are pretty fed up with the sob stories from the banks, so there's a real chance that the powers that be will decide to be tough and not give any more support for mortgage lending. If that happens, house prices will almost certainly fall, and 2012 could be a very interesting year indeed.